So it seems one of the main factors keeping couples together these days is not love, it's debt. That's kind of depressing, isn't it? But getting divorced is expensive, really expensive. And that's actually a deterrent to people getting divorced. It is just simply too expensive to break up. So is your marriage recession-proof? What does that mean? And what is a divorce accountant? Well, she knows. She is one. She's also the author of the book Untying the Knot. Kelly LAVAILLIE joins us now. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
So what is a divorce accountant?
Well, it's just an accountant that specializes in helping people navigate the financial implications of divorce, which can range from helping you gather financial information because there's mountains of it when you're going through trying to untangle your finances, or valuing your assets, or structuring the split. It's all exciting stuff.
Why do I have a feeling that you're a very busy woman?
And very popular at parties.
Yeah, I bet people picking your brain all the time. So, Kelly, when we talk about this idea that, people are staying together because it's too expensive to split up, is that a new phenomenon, or has it been going on for some time?
It's weird, right, to think of divorce as a luxury item. But when we're married, we become dependent on one another, financially, emotionally. So it can be difficult to untangle, and especially, we're in collective tough times and have been for a few years. So, I don't think that it's new, but I do think right now, with the challenges of the pandemic and, economic challenges, it is something that a lot of couples are struggling with.
I'm wondering, too, when you say, you're kind of in a little specialized segment here. Most people, I think, might go to a lawyer and have him or her work out all the details. How is it different to go with someone like you first, for example?
Right. I encourage everyone to engage a lawyer. It's a legal process. It's governed by the law. So unless you are an expert in family law, I really think, even if you want to be fair and amicable, you need to be informed, and that means working with a lawyer. So all of my clients I encourage to work with a lawyer as well. But a big chunk of divorce for a lot of people is financial. And so, most family lawyers would say that the finances aren't their particular expertise, and so it's a team effort of having someone who is a financial expert and then a family lawyer and probably some personal help, like some therapy.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in therapy. Always go for the therapy. But when we talk about recession-proofing your marriage, is it about making sure your marriage is recession-proof, or is it about making sure that you can afford to get divorced?
Yeah, I think the things that can help if you're getting divorced also are great, even if you stay married, which is obviously the hope. And, I think that often people divide and conquer in a marriage. Focus on your strengths, and finances is often one of those areas that one person primarily focuses on. But I think that in order to stay resilient, and I think best practice, even if you stay married, is making sure that both people are informed and involved in the decision making. Maybe not in the day to day, but in the involved in making the big decisions, and that will help if you face the unfortunate circumstance of getting divorced. I think too, if you're struggling and you are heading into marriage breakdown, to do a little bit of a financial audit on your life, because one of the big challenges that I've seen people face is, the loss of their lifestyle. This idea, I want the lifestyle that I become accustomed to, unfortunately, isn't most people's reality. So just to examine, what do you really need versus want? What have you just become accustomed to, but you can get creative and find, less expensive ways to achieve a lifestyle that you still love, but it's going to probably look a little different. So be willing to make some shifts for your new economic reality, even if that reality is short term. I think that divorce represents financial setback, cutting your asset base in half, usually increasing expenses as you establish two households, and often you're less productive, so potentially making less money in that kind of short-term period of getting divorced, but you can rebuild after.
You know, as I hear you describe this, I think to myself that, wow, in theory, this sounds great. This is what you should do. Sit down. It's like having a budget, really, in a sense, and sticking to it. How difficult do you find it, though, in real life when you're dealing with people to say, hey, here's the reality. It's not going to be what you had up until now financially, and you better prepare for that. It's going to change.
Yeah, I think it's a very jarring time because I believe that we all have a certain tolerance for change, and divorce is like an overdose of change. So when you're coping with losing your key relationship, even if you think that it's a good decision, it's still a huge amount of change, and often moving, and if you have kids, their routine is upset. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of also, like, you know, sticking to $100 a month for clothing can just feel like too much. Like I cannot also change all of my spending habits. But I have found working with clients going through that is it might not be immediate, and I think that might be too much to ask of yourself to say I'm going to, you know, end my primary relationship, move, and change my spending habits. But in relatively short order, I think people really do realize that they can make adjustments and changes and still live a happy life. You can maybe give up the family cottage and still enjoy your summers.
I'm kind of wondering, like, whether you're recession-proofing your marriage or splitting up. What's your starting point? Is it, like you were saying, like, kind of almost just start to document everything, write everything down, all your expenses, your ins and outs?
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want people to judge themselves harshly if they're not aware of what they own and owe, what they earn and spend as a family. Like, a lot of people aren't aware of that. So just answering those simple questions is a great first step. And it can be a little alarming. You know, you might discover, if you weren't the person involved in managing the family finances, that you have a bit more debt than you thought, or you're spending more than you earn. And so I think it's just like taking a deep breath. You're going to get through it, and you can make financial shifts, but the first step is to face the current reality.
I just want to ask a question. Maybe this is a bit unfair. Again, as you lay everything out here, and I think it makes perfect sense to hear what you should be doing. But, of course, a divorce is a pretty highly emotional moment in a life. It's hard to think rationally, logically sometimes. Have you had, or do you have a percentage of people when they come to see you say, I don't care what it costs, I want out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, coming back to the divorce as a luxury item, you know, I think that when you've reached the end of your rope in terms of the ability to stay in the relationship emotionally, I do think people aren't thinking about the finances. But, you know, when you're at the decision point, are you going to stay or go? It doesn't, I don't think that most people are feeling very pragmatic at that point. They're feeling more emotional, to your point. But it's worth engaging someone who can be pragmatic for you, like an accountant or a lawyer, to paint a picture of what the divorcing process is going to look like for you and what life might look like post-divorce. Yeah. So that you can maybe take a breath and going through that process of you know, informing yourself, where are we at financially? What are the like legal implications to our divorce? I think it can be inspiring to work hard to solve the issues in the relationship, because it can be quite sobering.
Yeah, and I'm just guessing that a good place to, you know, find some great advice would be your new book, Untying the Knot. I guess it's all about just trying to get through a divorce in the best possible way, Kelly.
Oh, bless your heart. It's a perfect first place to start. And essentially trying to deal with this issue of working through the tough emotional elements of it while you also are in the middle of negotiating a big business deal, really. That's what part of the financial part of divorce is. So trying to help out with doing both those things at the same time, which is a real challenge.
Kelly, thank you so much. Yeah, appreciate the time again. If you want to mention the title of the book, I guess you can find it online.
Untying the Knot.
Yes, Untying the Knot, and it's all online booksellers.
Thank you so much for the time this afternoon. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.